Sarah Merritt adjusted her plain beige blouse as she approached the towering glass structure of the University of Chicago's mathematics department. At 34, she didn't exactly blend in among the wave of youthful undergraduates bustling past her. Her hands nervously toyed with the strap of her scuffed leather satchel, a habit she'd never been able to shake. "You can do this," she whispered under her breath, tucking a stray strand of chestnut-brown hair behind her ear. Sarah had never stepped foot inside a university classroom, much less one this prestigious. She worked as a data entry clerk at a mid-sized insurance firm, a job she had kept for over a decade. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Her love of mathematics was something she pursued in secret, during quiet lunch hours and late into the night, long after spreadsheets had been closed and offices locked. She had joined countless online math forums and participated in anonymous problem-solving challenges, where she often outperformed graduate students. Then came the unexpected call. "Ms. Merritt, your solutions to our open challenge problems were nothing short of brilliant," Dr. Patricia Hayes had said over the phone. "We'd like to offer you a spot in our pilot program for non-traditional mathematical talents. You'd be auditing advanced courses with the possibility of a full scholarship." She had almost declined. Who was she to sit among prodigies, graduates of elite prep schools, children of professors? But the same drive that once led her to teach herself differential calculus from library books wouldn't let her say no. As she reached the building's entrance, her reflection in the glass startled her. No makeup, plain clothes, nervous eyes. Nothing about her appearance said she belonged here. She drew a long breath, stepped through the door, and entered a world she had only glimpsed in textbooks. The corridors buzzed with discussions of abstract concepts and complex proofs. Students balanced sleek laptops and high-end textbooks that Sarah had only seen in library reference sections. She glanced at the printed campus map clutched in her hand. Room 307, Advanced Theoretical Calculus, taught by the formidable Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell. Dr. Blackwell's name alone made Sarah's heart pound. Her textbooks were practically sacred texts in mathematics circles, painstakingly written and notoriously difficult. Sarah had devoured them like novels, her copies marked with layers of notes and margin musings. The online forums called her the dragon of the department for her unflinching standards. At the door to room 307, Sarah hesitated. Then she walked in. Conversation in the lecture hall stopped as heads turned. Rows of students in designer hoodies and curated casual wear watched her take an empty seat at the front. The young man next to her shifted slightly away. "Is this seat taken?" she asked quietly. "No," he said, barely glancing up from his tablet. She placed her pencil case and lined paper on the desk, ignoring the whispers that drifted through the air. "Is she part of that new program?" "No degree. Just online stuff." "Why is she even here?" Sarah pretended not to hear. She had been judged for her background before. 2 seats over, a student leaned to her friend and murmured, "Dr. Blackwell's going to roast her alive. $10 says she doesn't last 20 minutes. Sarah focused on her notebook. She had spent countless nights solving problems most of these students hadn't yet encountered, not for a grade or prestige, but for the sheer beauty of numbers. The side door opened. Dr. Blackwell entered, her presence commanding silence. Dressed in black slacks and a crisp white shirt, she walked with purpose. Behind her followed Dr. Hayes, whose warm eyes briefly met Sarah's before she stood quietly at the back of the room. "Welcome to Advanced Theoretical Calculus," Blackwell announced. "This course is for those prepared to challenge their limits. If you're not serious, the drop period ends Friday." Her gaze landed on Sarah for a pointed moment before turning back to the room. 20 minutes in, Sarah was captivated. Dr. Blackwell was every bit as brilliant as her reputation suggested. The fluidity with which she handled multivariable transformations and partial derivatives left Sarah breathless. As she followed along, she nodded instinctively, already anticipating the next step in Blackwell's demonstration. A technique Sarah had discovered on her own months earlier. "Something to add, Ms. Merritt?" Dr. Blackwell's voice sliced through the air. The room stilled. Sarah blinked. "No, ma'am. I was just following." "Ah, so intuitive it seems. You appear bored. Perhaps you'd care to solve the next problem?" On the board sat a brutal multivariable equation. Blackwell raised a brow. Sarah hesitated. "No?" "As expected," Blackwell muttered. Dr. Hayes shifted uncomfortably at the back. "I insist, Ms. Merritt," Blackwell said. The chalk felt cold in Sarah's hand. She walked slowly to the board, every eye on her. She studied the equation. Complicated, yes, but she knew it. She had seen its skeleton in a variation from Blackwell's own text. She began. The first lines were standard, setting the stage. But then she diverged, employing an unusual transformation she derived during late-night tinkering months ago. One that simplified the integral significantly. The room quieted. Even the skeptics leaned forward. Sarah moved confidently, collapsing a complex 15-step process into a graceful 8-step flow. Her handwriting was careful, the logic behind each transformation clear and tight. She finished, underlining the final answer. The room remained silent. Dr. Blackwell approached the board, scanning the solution with a stone expression. Dr. Hayes joined her, her eyes lighting up. "This bypasses Peterson's entire framework," Hayes said. "How did you spot it?" "It reminded me of Korar's optimization method. I applied a hyperbolic substitution." A student whispered, "That's not in the textbook." "No," Sarah said softly. "I figured it out while working through similar problems." Blackwell's lips thinned. "Unconventional methods," she said coolly, "sometimes yield errors. But this seems correct." It was the closest thing to praise Sarah would get from her. "May I sit?" Blackwell nodded stiffly. As Sarah returned to her seat, the student beside her moved his bag to give her space. A silent acknowledgement. Class continued, but something had shifted. 30 minutes later, Blackwell wrote another equation. More complex. Clearly a trap. "Perhaps Ms. Merritt would like to attempt this as well?" Hayes interjected. "Elizabeth, we have 5 minutes left. Maybe this can wait. Unless she feels it exceeds her capabilities?" Sarah stood. "I'll try." The equation was deceptive. Misleading. But she saw through it. There was hidden symmetry, obscured by its presentation. She rewrote it using an alternative coordinate system. The room gasped. She solved it, again with clarity and grace. Blackwell stared. Hayes beamed. "That's brilliant," Hayes said. "You recognize the embedded Jacobian transformation." Blackwell gave a tight nod. A creative solution. As students packed up, many paused to speak to Sarah. The once-ignored outsider was now the subject of curiosity, admiration, and respect. Hayes approached. "Sarah, I think we need to revisit your status in this program. I'd like to nominate you for full enrollment and scholarship consideration." Sarah nodded, overwhelmed. Blackwell passed by. "Your solution employed graduate-level techniques. Where did you encounter them?" "I didn't. I derived them." The standard methods seemed inefficient. Blackwell looked at her a long moment. "I see. I look forward to your continued contributions." That afternoon, Sarah walked out of the building into the golden light of early evening. Her phone buzzed with a text from a coworker. "How was math land?" "All Greek to you." She smiled. "Not Greek." "Fluent," she typed back. "Might be making some changes." The campus around her faded as she looked up at the sky. She hadn't just proven herself to others. She had confirmed something vital within herself. That genius isn't granted by pedigree, but by passion. And hers had finally found its place to shine.